Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. I am MrVozly, joined by Kmax.
I am here, and I am ready to go. The fireplace is on. The coffee's hot. Let's do this.
And Sans Tin Man.
Oh, hey, you know what it is? This is a font, Sans Serif.
Yes, this is Sans Tin Man. It's a slightly more elegant version of Depth Perception.
Elegant, if not as handsome.
Some would say even more handsome now.
I would probably be that person.
I'd say 2/3 of the podcast would say so.
5 out of 7 ladies would agree.
So, Tin Man, of all podcasts to dodge, has dodged the episode on justice. Fancy that.
I'll tell you why. I won't tell you why.
We get it. Things happen, life happens, work happens, but that doesn't mean we're not going to give him guff about it.
That's right. Guff will be had, and if he didn't expect that, if he don't know us by now, he might never, ever, ever know us.
So today's episode is brought to you by the word justice. In my original plans here, I was going to see how excited Tin Man was to finally defend his own theories and thoughts, but alas, he is not here. So for justice, I want to clarify before I move into the topics for today, we're going to focus on justice rather than injustice. You get a lot of movies and stories about how justice is absent, how there's social injustice and that sort of thing. And we're here to focus on just the justice side of it. And I also want to point out that this is going to be separate, but related to the idea of vengeance, which will be the chapter after this one. And, one thing more before I continue. A few months ago, Kmax was given the idea by a listener to pick up a unique souvenir from one of his Disney trips.
Oh.
A service bell. This bell is from the Tower of Terror, a ride that is referenced in every single one of our episodes. And ever since then, I have been trying to figure out how to integrate this into our podcast. And I think I have it. I have to get it.
Oh, this is great. What you can't see now is he's taking his pants off.
So this service bell says the Hollywood Tower Hotel. It's aged appropriately to the setting of the ride. And I figured out when we introduce topics for an episode, and when we switch topics throughout the episode, I'll ring it. And it sounds something like this. That was a little dud. Let me try again. There we go.
Yeah, you gotta finesse it.
Not so much about the power.
No, it's about the speed.
You gotta get on it, get off. Sometimes some would say repeatedly.
Precision. It's about precision.
Precision. You gotta get right in the middle of this little tiny.
Let me try it once. Can I give it a try once?
Oh, please! The more, the merrier.
I want to give it a try.
I'm gonna leave it right in the middle of us.
There we go. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta really finesse it.
My. There we go.
There we go. We're cooking with gas. Now that we've settled that.
So it only took. Oh, when did you get this thing? 7 months ago.
Yeah.
6 months ago. I think it was. You went in December, right?
I think this was a January purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our topics for today. You may remember our Hateful Eight episode. We brought up a quote about justice from that movie. So our first talking point will be reciting that quote and see how it contributes to our own thoughts on what justice is. Next, the idea of punishment. So punishment in a lawful versus a moral sense. And we'll bring some cinematic examples for that. Then we have the idea of fairness. So you had punishment, now you got fairness. Again, lawful and moral, and again with movie examples. What's more important in justice, punishment or fairness? Our personal favorite movie moments of justice. We'll discuss whether an audience gets more enjoyment out of punishment or fairness of justice. And lastly...
Oh, that's probably your best one. Save the best for last.
I'm going to give Kmax a set of categories to choose from that will decide what movies we watch for both this chapter and the next chapter on justice or on vengeance. So they won't be the same movie, they'll be from the same category. We'll move into our first topic. I'm doing it with the pad of my finger. I need to do it with my, there it is, the tip of my finger. We're going to go ding happy today, I think. D-I-N-G.
Well, okay. I was going to say it is Monday after all.
So the quote from the Hateful Eight.
Yes. The man?
Oswaldo Mowbray says, "The man who pulls the lever that breaks your neck will be a dispassionate man. And that dispassion is the very essence of justice. For justice delivered without dispassion is always in danger of not being justice." Kmax, what does that quote mean to you?
Well, I think it just says, it's like the judge, right? The impartialness.
Right.
If you get someone who has a predisposition to you, you're not going to have your procedural due process. You're not going to get a fair shake.
Right.
I'm reminded of something that I'm always mindful of this time around state exams, right? I teach students that sometimes struggle, and sometimes they traditionally don't get the highest scores on high stakes tests. And one thing that I'm always guarding against is I almost wish that the names could be blocked out before anybody scores them, because I fear that if someone sees the name, they might be partial to say, all right, am I going to grade this down or am I going to grade this up?
Right.
Just based on who they are and if they're one of Braley's, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden, we got to grade that down. That non-impartiality becomes a problem if they got a fair shake with their score. And I couldn't help but think about that as we took the Regents exams and we scored them. I think it was fine, but I'm always guarded against that, saying, and I guess so. To take that quote, something that I think about is like worldwide. When you look at justice, I always feel like ours. Talk about ethnocentric much. I feel like ours is as good as it can be because our justice system is set up so that each lawful citizen has their procedural due process of law. And, you throw emotion in there, whether it's the law enforcement officer, the judge, the lawyer, the jurors, it kind of corrupts the justice. It sullies the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Any shades of gray in justice, and we know they exist, but if you can limit the amount of shades of gray in justice, you might have the closest to true justice. If that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah, I'm on board there. And I've gone through different movie examples, and I've thought about this quote for some time now. And I'm actually going to be, as we go forward with our episode here and our episodes with Vengeance, I'm actually going to be challenging this quote to see, can we have justice without dispassion?
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind as we go forward with our movies for this chapter, then the Vengeance chapter, and I kind of see if that if it exists, if
That's
it's
kind of cool.
if it's a better version of justice or not. And I'm going to challenge it, but I'm not rooting one way or another. I'm just kind of going to make some observations with that quote added to my lens.
I'm interested in that because very often we pick whether we're gonna, if we're gonna be a fan of something. If we're gonna run, we do these things all the time. I do it politically a lot. I think others do too. You think, I bet this is gonna happen, and you are kind of rooting for what you think is gonna happen to happen. Mm-hmm. That's why I was interested to hear you say that, saying I'm not rooting for anyone. I just want to for either side to work. I want to just see with the variable thrown in there how it looks.
Right. So justice to you, not just this quote. Well, what are your feelings about it? Are there certain bullet points about justice that come up that define what it is for you?
I think when I think of justice, I think fairness. That it's almost synonymous. It doesn't. It's not necessarily a synonym. But when I think of justice, I think of fairness. And again, I go back to education. It's my lens. Mm-hmm. It's what I do, and I think I do it pretty well. And in advocating for students that have learning disabilities, oftentimes educators even will have a problem saying, "Well, that's not fair." Well, oh gosh, how's that fair? That's not even you're not even. And I remember one of my mentors early on. She's a listener to this podcast, not as often as she should be, but she's a listener. Taught me that the Individuals with Disabilities and Education Act, you know what I mean? It leveled the playing field for students that had intellectual learning disabilities, so that let's say their processing was a little slower, give them a little more time, so that they weren't being tested on how fast they could process something, or if they had some like a reading disability and they're taking a social studies test. The test is being read to them so that it's not a reading test. Mm-hmm. You're testing the content. And some folks who might be a little ignorant would say, well, that's not fair. Well, to me, it's like that's an unjust system. There's no fidelity to your testing system. And then I would argue saying that's not true. There is perfect fidelity to it because it's leveling the playing field so that the kid that has those disabilities has an equal chance to succeed on what you're actually testing them on. So I go back to education because that's what I know a little bit. So when I think about justice, it involves fairness, giving each person what they deserve. Goes back to like grace too, like grace and mercy.
I like that.
It gives each person what they deserve. But there's all kind of little facets of it, mm-hmm. Justice. I guess I'll save those for any follow up. Then is that cool?
I mean, keep them bookmarked, and because we'll have plenty to talk about. For me, I like that you say what we deserve, because that makes it a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
My thought was, in movies, we see a lot of justice in terms of punishment, and that's where I think people can confuse it with vengeance.
Yeah.
So my thought is that it's a balance to give out punishment when needed, but also to make things fair when able. Mm. So one example, just today, I know somebody that they're in Canada, they're driving, get pulled over. The cop comes up to the window and says, "For how fast you were going, I should take your license and have the car impounded."
Oh, man.
I'm not going to ruin your visit here, but that's what I should do. And then he comes back with a ticket that says, okay, I'm going to get you for going 15 over. And it's, this much of fine. But just know that the lawful punishment for that violation was the suspension of license and the car impounded. My. So in that case, you needed a balance of punishment and fairness. So lawfully, punishment means that license gets suspended, because you can't have passion in here, right?
Right.
So dispassion says that's what happens. Your license gets taken, you go to jail or whatever, or mm-hmm. your car gets impounded. But fairness says you're a visitor in a country that you don't know anything about. We're going to teach you what the laws here are first, let you off with a warning, little bit of a, because it was such an egregious violation, you're still going to get a little bit of a punishment. But fairness is saying you didn't know, you're unfamiliar with the area. Here are the rules. Carry on.
Yeah.
So to me, that is kind of the perfect setup. And it just so happens I hear the story today.
Yeah.
That on this recording day for justice. But that to me sums up justice right there.
Yeah. It's funny, if I could add on that a little bit, you think of, like when we said, like my take on what justice is, it's like everybody gets what they deserve, like a case-by-case instance.
Mm.
I think of a lot of times people argue, well, that's not fair. And it's usually the person, if that happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
well, how come they're getting off?
Right.
Or why do they get the special? And then that's where the quote also comes in, justice delivered without dispassion is always a danger of not being justice. So even if it's justice for you, the person who's watched this whole thing transpire and is at Applebee's with you after saying, you only got what?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or the person that sees you get back in your car and drive away after you pass them doing 140 kilometers, folks. Calm down. Or whatever that is, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you think about a lot of people who argue about what is, well, I guess then we're looking at injustice. Then I don't want to go down that role, but I'm just saying that it clouds it a little bit.
It clouds someone's version of what justice means to them.
That's right. It's good. That quote. I thought that quote was well written though. When we heard it, we all kind of like stopped, like, ooh.
So in that case, I mean, you could go back and forth because then you can say fairness would be you knew what the rules were and you chose to break them.
Mm-hmm.
And this person did not know
that's
what the
true.
rules
That's
were
true.
and broke them on accident. But, so I think that's the thing with case-by-case basis is that you can have all those things play into the situation. You could get into some...
And that's what a real good police officer does, though, right? Right? I mean,
Right.
I only wish Tin Man were here.
Oh, Tin Man.
Because honestly, that is precisely like wheelhouse stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that discretion. To me, that's like what makes an outstanding officer of the law and what makes maybe a decent one or what makes a horrible one. How they use that discretion.
Mm-hmm.
Kappa. So, a nurse and a teacher walk into a bar, waiting for their police officer friend, who doesn't show up. Who buys the drinks? Anyway, I'm off the chain.
All right. We'll try it again. Hey.
That was perfect.
So the idea of punishment, we have a subgenre of punishment. We have lawful and we have moral.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can all agree what lawful punishment is. You go through due process and whatever the judge hands down, that's your lawful punishment.
Mm-hmm.
What gets a little bit has more depth, I would say, is moral punishment. And I don't know if there's a way to put this in a simple quote, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah, that's probably right.
So I'm trying to think of situations where moral punishment happens, and
well, I think about with that term, I think of like restorative justice, and again, it's almost like there's a duty to make whole. You know what I mean? Like whether it's the justice system, the aggriever, right? The perpetrator, I guess. Or the justice system has to make the aggrieved whole or the victim whole. To me, that becomes more of a because like I have written down in my notes here like the different types of justice, and the one that feels more like a moral justice is the one that's like a restorative justice rather than a distributive or procedural justice like a court system or retributive, like a vengeance, like retribution.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's like moral high ground is, have you made that person whole? You've wronged them, or the system, or there was injustice again. All right, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Right.
Well, that one
I'm going backwards there.
that one might be more of the fairness route.
Yeah, I think so.
But so like one example for moral punishment might be, you see this example in plenty of movies, but Tarzan, you've seen it, right?
Yep.
Clayton and Tarzan are fighting at the end, and Clayton's still trying to kill Tarzan, and in doing so, cuts one of the vines holding him up, which plummets him down to his death. So, lawful punishment, no, there's no laws enacted here, but moral punishment obviously is for the wrongs that Clayton did to Tarzan and his friends. He was hanged for it.
Yeah.
So and he did it. It was his own doing. So that's just one movie example. But like I said, you know it when you see it. Something happens to punish the individual, whether it's the universe coming together or it's here's one for you: Murder on the Orient Express.
Ooh.
This was a way that lawful punishment was ineffective or not. It was bypassed, I guess, by our villain. And in a sense of moral justice, the people affected by this guy's wrongdoings got together and
that's right,
and exacted justice on the train.
That's true.
And that may share a border with vengeance, but because there was I think the circumstances of how they pulled it off, it speaks a little bit more towards justice, like from a punishment standpoint.
That's right. That's a really good movie.
Did you have any examples or
like a lawful
of either lawful or moral sense of punishment?
I do. Let me flip back to my screens. I got all my notes digitally today, which is different. Usually I toggle while our third. I'm going to be blaming James. I'm going to be blaming Tim Man all night. That's what I do.
Well, we need him to say things while we come up with what we're going to say.
Right. It's the pace is a little different. It's fine, but it's just a little bit different. Lawful versus moral. I think of two movies. Can I give one of the lawful one right now?
Sure.
Because I think I have to give it, and before I can give it, I gotta lay the skeleton out before I can put some flesh on it. I think so. Erin Brockovich. Mm-hmm. I think lawful, because you see this legal clerk who finds this evidence and says, "I'm an ambitious person. There's wrong being done here, moral wrong. I'm going to fight this legally with all my legal chops." And so then it's just, if you are a lawyer, you fight with the legal tools. Even if you're fighting a moral, you're fighting for a moral right, it's still, to me, I guess it could be, like you said, I like when you said it shares a border with, but to me it's all lawful because her methods that carry the whole movie are all highlighting parts of the legal system where even her discovery, even how she gets people to speak, she does it all legally. There's no constitutional. She's aware that there's some things I can't do constitutionally here, even though morally, this is a long answer only because it's a tough answer. I struggle with it all the time. You know what's right and wrong as human beings. I think we try. We hope that we do, and I always feel like law enforcement, for good reason, has their hands tied when there's something that seems morally right. Like this is a bad guy here. This is a bad person. Someone, a drunk driver just killed a kid, or a dad going home from work. That's going home to his family. We know what happened here, and yet you're bound by the law. Morally, you know what's wrong here. We know what happened here. the fairness comes in with the due process. Everybody gets their day in court. They get their process. In Erin Brockovich, there was like this moral issue going on. This is why I picked it. There was you're contaminating drinking water. There's people dying. There's evidence, clear evidence of it. And because there's a cover-up, she has to be creative and use the law to the full extent of what the law can do to lawfully exact justice. Because the thing that makes that movie is the whole audience is saying, it's almost like Thunderheart. We know that there's wrongdoing going on here. It's morally wrong. You're blatantly doing it and you're paying people off. You're getting away with it. But the reason why I picked Erin Brockovich for lawful justice is because she just realized, I can't get emotional about this. I'm very emotional about it, but I'm going to use the legal system and I'm going to exact lawful justice. And that ends up what happening. No spoiler alert, it's like 35 years old.
Well, yeah, so like taming that passion a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
To play within the rules.
Well, yeah, and I feel like that's a lot of good cop movies are procedural movies about that. Like, can this loose cannon reel it in, or is he going to lose the case again, or we're going to let another bad guy walk this time? You know what I mean?
I think you see a lot of the opposite of that in movies where the justice system is failing them, so they resort to a moral punishment.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So Batman Begins, just to pick one Batman out of the bunch.
Yeah.
But the idea that the law can't reach all of these criminals, and what Batman, at least in plain example in Batman Begins, is he strings them up for the cops, kind of prepping the criminals for their lawful punishment.
Yeah.
And then we see in Hateful Eight, there's a strive for lawful punishment. I'm going to take her to the noose.
Yep.
But what ends up happening is, lawful punishment has failed, and we see Sam Jackson and Mannix enact a sense of moral punishment.
That's really good.
and continue the hanging. They could have shot her, they could have killed Domergue a number of different ways, but they enact the hanging because of what it represents, a sense of what was supposed to happen to punish this person. Did you say you had an example for moral punishment?
I did, but I don't think I want to leave. So when you were talking about the Hateful Eight, another movie popped into my head about like you said, almost countless movies that go the other way. When lawful doesn't work for them, all of a sudden it becomes almost a vigilante justice, and it becomes just I'm going to get my moral justice because the bad can't. Oh, M, one of our just very basics.
Yes,
this child murderer, and the police can't find him, and so maybe not for a moral reason, certainly, but they want to protect their crime. They want to keep doing their crimes, and the law is really, really coming down on them. So. Plus, it's their neighborhood, and they want to catch this child murderer. So in M, the crime syndicate ends up being the ones that apprehend him.
Which, again, plays into, was that completely dispassionate? I don't know.
Right.
Because, like you said, they're protecting their own assets here.
And then it comes full circle, because then the police get there toward the end, and now then it's going to be lawful justice. It's not just going to be this kangaroo court of the, what I mean? Like the moral, we know this guy's going to get his, they're going to make sure he gets his. And they're like, nope, here we go. You're going to go through the due process now. I thought that was interesting. I'm glad I remembered that.
Yeah.
Because it was Emma. It was actually something from one of our previous pods too.
Yeah.
1931. Oh, jeepers.
And then I think the obvious one, A Few Good Men for lawful punishment.
Lawful, right?
You go through the whole thing and you figure out what's morally wrong first in terms of just following orders, and then you get the lawful punishment for the moral wrongdoings.
I think that's why courtroom dramas are so good, though, right? Because the whole audience, you're made to feel like, of course, this is the way it goes. And then when they throw the old counterintuitive at you, where someone's being wrongfully accused of this horrible, morally heinous crime, then you see, good thing the Justice Department, good thing the lawful part was there
Right.
to give them their due process.
The fairness aspect that we'll get to.
Yeah, cool.
For moral punishment, also, have you seen Prisoners?
I haven't. I don't think.
Okay, I think we've mentioned it briefly.
I've heard
in the
it
pod.
mentioned. Who's in it?
Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal,
Okay.
Paul Dano.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a couple of heavy hitters in that one. But it's about a child abduction, and Hugh Jackman plays a father that's trying to, we'll say, help the process along.
Okay.
And again, bordering on vengeance,
Yeah.
but certainly not dispassionately.
Sure.
But one that I'm pretty sure you've seen, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, gosh. Great one.
So bypasses Lawful. It has plenty of things to say, and so our villain, Minister Frollo, bypasses a lot of lawful punishment because of his status. But spoiler alert for
Right.
but
right.
he gets towards the end he's trying to kill off the Hunchback, and he ends up being figuratively taken down to hell first class via Hellhound.
Yeah.
So on the nose moral punishment for everything that he's done, and all the abuse that he's partaken in, and the neglect and just everything awful that character did throughout the story.
Yeah, and I think those are some of the best, yummiest of payoffs when the actual Hellhound gets you. Or was it Ghost when those creepy...
Oh yeah.
Another one that I think Tin Man really always brings up all the time, how creepy that was. A moral one that I got,
but Ghost, though, just to stay on that one for a second, perfect example again of this guy got away with murder, and the only way that justice was exacted was supernatural things happening, where Swayze's taunting him on the computer and everything, and then finally at the end those devil-looking things
terrifying
bring him down to hell. So that's the essence of moral punishment.
You done messed up, and the moral hangman's coming for you, not the legal system. Yeah, I had Schindler's List as a moral one, and then I don't think it's as clear because. With the Nuremberg trials, right? You had the Nuremberg trials for the Nazis that were brought to justice. Some of them, not many. But after the World War II and after the Holocaust, the Nuremberg trials used the lawful means to bring many Nazi perpetrators to justice. In Schindler's List, in the movie, Oscar gets hit with the moral weight of what he's done. So, it never shows him paying for these sins, for extorting the free labor, the slave labor of the Jews. And, seeing a moment and seizing it. We see him as this hero. I do. You see Itzhak Stern telling him, because of you, we have generations. And this document is freedom. It's hope in the margins. And it gives me goosebumps talking about those lines because it's so powerful. And yet, he's guilty. He remains guilty of being a profiteer, benefiting from this genocide, And so you see the moral punishment happen when the weight of it catches up with him. When him and his wife are ready to leave, he says, at midnight, you'll be free and I'll be hunted. And they're telling him all the good and they're telling him all that. And he's like, he has this, the scene where he's like, his ring could have gotten 2, at least 1. This car, 10 easy. He would have given me 10. Like all these possessions that he has. And again, I wasn't there, but this is a real person. And I think as human beings, we can all feel the weight of that scene. This is why film is so great. You can feel the weight of that scene because maybe we've been in a moral situation before, and maybe we're not all as honest as Oscar was in that moment because we're not feet to the fire like he was. But we get to watch someone in that moment where the moral justice is, the punishment is happening internally, kind of. It's not the legal system. Again, I don't know enough about the story where what happens with him. I know a little bit more that he was kind of celebrated. That he did see the light, and the movie tells you a little bit that he tried to get other businesses to jump on board this, but yet he still had that moral punishment still had that moral weight to carry. And in that too, maybe Christmas Carol with Jacob Marley. And even better yet, it's an audiobook, it's not a movie, so that's out of bounds a little bit, but Jacob Marley, the book, wow, that's tells you even a little bit more of that moral weight that he carries like through eternity, kind of a thing. It's a neat dynamic.
I think as we talk about our movie examples, it brings up this idea also that justice itself doesn't only pertain to the law.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that need justice, whether it be relationships, happenings, decisions that don't necessarily cross any lawful boundaries, but may be a little morally incorrect or, feel a little icky.
Sounds like we're ready for a bell.
I think so. All right, we have both lawful and moral versions of fairness now. So we had punishment when things were, you get after the people that did the wrong. And now you have the fairness, which you kind of alluded to, whereas how do you make things right with the person that was wronged? And I think, again, you have both lawful and you have moral versions of doing so. Well, I've got a handful of things for lawful. I think the biggest example that I have is 12 Angry Men.
Oh, there's a good one.
Just even a look at the due process there of, no, here's how you fairly perform your duties as the jury, or as a juror, as a rural juror.
The rural juror. The rural juror. I was rural juror. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But how to, you just don't say, oh, he's guilty because of this. You look at it and say, well, what did you see? What did they say? What did they say they saw, and what did they actually see? Okay, now actually dive into, okay, the knife can't be coming at this angle because of this. And so it made the other 11 jurors really reflect what it means to be fair. You've seen that one, obviously.
I sure have, yeah. It's funny, the book, the book and the movie, that was at a time when film didn't take and really changed. That was at a time when the films, if you were going to make a film about a really good book, you were very careful to keep it very much like the book.
Right.
And I like that because when I show that to students, like my high school students, it's not far off. A lot of times now, if there's a modern book and there's a film, or a film about a classic that's now, artistic vision, again, here's me criticizing filmmakers for how dare they use their artistic vision. But there was more fidelity to the book. And so 12 Angry Men, when we watched, there's a couple versions of it that I've seen. But both of them stuck very close to the book because they were produced similar within 10 years of the book being published. I wonder what it looked like, like a newer version now.
Right.
And I think to myself, we get a lot of, again, I'm talking movie talk here, but this is the pod here. We get a lot of superhero remakes and storylines that keep going. I wouldn't mind seeing some courtroom dramas, even a new To Kill a Mockingbird
Right.
and like a new 12 Angry Men with like modern actors and just see who would play these roles. I think that's cool.
You know what's sad though is you could remake those movies and they'd be as relevant as ever.
That's true.
And it's sad that that's the case.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
That they have to reteach these lessons.
Oh gosh.
And I mean, that's one of the background things I'm going for is how cyclical the human experience is. But
it's almost like a learning objective for your curriculum here.
Almost, some would say.
Shh, I know, right? I'm ringing bells over here like a blockhead. What else you got? Give me a couple more, because I have one. I literally have one for fairness. Like,
I'll stick in Lawful for a couple more here. 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah.
When the moment that he's finally free and he gets back to his family.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sense of restoration, and he sees that his family is not only alive and well but thriving. Like I think correct me if I'm wrong, but he had a grandkid.
That's right.
And his daughter was already married or something like that, right? So they were able to, in his absence, still live their lives, and he didn't have to come home to to more tragedy. He paid his incorrect dues, because he was a free man all this whole time. But fairness was restored when he arrived back home, to me anyway.
Man, I mean, I like mine. I like 12 Angry Men. It's funny, I had it written, and I got a strike through it because I thought, I don't think I can do it justice because there's so much dynamic, there's so much at play, and it's almost like a fundamental. It should almost be our bones for the whole entire discussion, And I'm like, I'm glad you took that because I have Remember the Titans, which is it starts with a legal framework, like the reason why Coach Boone is taking over for Coach Yotes, who is this like all county coach, and they love him, beloved coach, successful, but because of Brown versus education, there's an unsegregated South, but it's still very much like a Jim Crow South,
right?
And so now you have Denzel's character coming in and legally placed there. Legally, he got that job legally, and but then there's like a moral moral justice happening here by him being placed there. But then there's another layer of moral ambiguity that's dealt with that Coach Yotes is dealing with,
right?
Because he did nothing wrong.
He was
a good coach.
Was a good coach,
a good family man. His little fiery daughter was more ticked than he ever was about it, and he was a good man, and he would always stay his hand. You could tell he did not agree with it. He thought it was morally wrong that he would lose this job because of this legality. And I guess I picked that one, came to mind right away because it dances around both. It dances around that lawful versus moral fairness.
Yeah.
It's like lawful, sure. And it's Voz, it's so funny that you brought up that these things are cyclical, because if you made that movie now about something that's like you think about like the I don't know what the abbreviations are, but like affirmative action type stuff right now that they're like are doing away with a lot of those initiatives.
Right.
And it's like, well, why are those in place? Is it morally right those are in place? And as a minority person, I'd say, yeah, I think there is a moral ground for it. And you could argue that there's a legal ground for it. And then today, though, it seems like there's a big pushback in a lot of legislation saying there's a moral ground for it to not be around based on merit. And there's a legal ground based on merit. Like, what about me?
Right.
Why is it that I'm disqualified for not being this gender or this color? And I love this conversation because we're not talking about injustice. But again, I love your term. It shares the border with.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about legalities and morality is there's that little bit of vagueness, and that's why there's so much dis-ease in the world, because there's the you can name your conflict right now globally,
Right.
and
Well, especially now.
and it's those boundaries that get clouded, and so it makes conversations like this super hard to have. And side note, commercial, I'm kind of glad that we can kind of maybe discuss things that might be akin to, maybe just so that people can actually find blind spots themselves and say, here's why this might be hard to talk about. Or here's why I might feel icky when we get to a conversation like this. Because, there might be legal precedent for it. It might be constitutional. Morally, is it right?
Right.
Or you know what I mean? So they're good with Remember the Titans. I think
that's a solid example.
Thanks,
though.
man.
I
I felt pretty good about that. I underlined it. It was in blue, so it's special.
So here you got one of mine. I had Erin Brockovich as also a fairness one, but here's one that I'm pretty proud of. Miracle on 34th Street.
Come on.
As a sense of lawful fairness.
Ooh.
You got Kris Kringle.
Yes.
Who, what's he doing wrong? Why is he on trial?
He's
you were insane, buddy.
He's going through it.
And
touche.
In God we trust is what the judge is reminded of, and that's what gets him to say, well, he's Kris Kringle. I can't prove it otherwise. He's Santa Claus, sure.
That's so
like,
awesome.
just let him live.
Let
for
him crying
live
out
his
loud.
life.
Holy cats. Man, the foresight that some of these story writers, again, we say the filmmakers all the time, but the people that write the stories, like the screenwriters or the story writer.
Mm.
You're like, were they playing with these margins? Because I think they were, right? When you see some of the main dialogue, and some of the central themes of the movie, holy cats! This one is definitely playing with that. Bringing all the mail, it's all addressed to.
Then who are these people writing to?
Right.
So. I think that was the bulk of my lawful fairness examples, so we can move into our moral versions of fairness.
Yeah, I this is gonna bleed into some of my favorite moments of justice. It's gonna bleed in because it can't help but it, because when I think of moral justice, think of they're getting what they deserve. They're getting their just desserts.
Yeah.
And then, if you remember from episode 1 of season 1, baby, and even in episode maybe 2 or 3, is like, I love a good yummy payoff, and that's why I love westerns so much, and I love the idea of Tombstone, like the bad guy's gonna get theirs, and it's almost like my attraction to film in general is I look for. Because life is cloudy in general, your day-to-day life. In films, there seems to be a little bit more absolutes, or at very least no consequence to me, because it's just a movie.
I would say resolution.
There it is. Yeah. Like it's a nice little ride. It's a nice plot arc ride. And then when you get that climax, and you get that falling action, and it's resolving, and you're like, oh, it's just so satisfying. And so, I think probably the best moral justice, moral fairness was like when the warden gets his in Shawshank.
Oh yeah,
it's just like this payoff that the filmmaker bleeds it out over a long period of time. It just makes it really, really, really yummy. where the warden, who was this obtuse character, and just arrogant and smug, and even hiding behind Faith a lot too.
Yeah.
Right. And even you see some of it. You see some of his nastiness, even when he's talking about that pie that nice lady from church makes, and he throws it out like he hates it. Like it just, there's nothing authentic about this man.
Right.
He's fake from the word go. He's corrupt. He's just, embodiment of evil, and he's even using the only reason why he's keeping. I mean, he killed the guy to keep Danny, his right hand man. You know what I mean?
Right.
The guy that would have exonerated him, and he had him killed because he wanted to keep using him. That's just evil.
Yeah.
And then him getting his in that scene lasted a pretty long time with the narration going on there, and
now, would you view that as fairness then, or would you view that as with him getting his as a more of a sense of punishment?
You know what? I'm not glad you brought that up, because I was going to say it was fairness. It's like, of course it's fair. It's fundamental fairness that you're going to, if you live by the sword, you're dying by the sword. Then that is vengeance. It's not sharing a border. That is vengeance. It's not even sharing a border, but I think that is fairness too. It's like, you played by this set of rules. Now you're going to be forced to play the game by those set of rules now. And that is vengeance. Yeah, you're right. As Gilda Radner once said, never mind. You remember Rosanna Dana? She would go on these long rants for like the whole segment of Weekend Update. And then, who was it? It wasn't Kevin Nealon, Chevy Chase. And he would like clarify something for her, and she'd smile, and she'd look to the side and look to the back the other way, and she'd say, never mind.
Well, I think, I think it depends, because I think this is cool why we talked about what justice means to us at the start, because fairness, I think we have different views on what fairness might mean then. To me, fairness is kind of making sure the person that was wronged gets supported in some way.
I see. Yeah,
and there's no wrong answers here. So from what I'm gathering from your sense of fairness is, however you were doing the wrongdoing, be prepared to defend the outcomes of it. I guess.
If you think in your world, what is right is done this way, then when it comes back around, you need to be able to prepare to ride that lightning.
Gotcha.
But I think I like the idea of fairness of like the restorative idea. Like, what's fair is making you whole. Like I said earlier, is like, that's kind of
even from a parenting point of view, your brother got a piece of candy, so you get a piece of candy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take away the other piece of candy because you didn't get one. I'm gonna try and do what I can to get you a piece of candy.
That's right.
I guess that's the most basic way I can.
It's probably the best way actually of looking at it. That's the cool thing about having the commonality, and I know a couple of our listeners. I know Andrew, the one friend of ours from Youngstown.
Shout out Andrew.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great to have you aboard. Really, really, really comes into the barbershop and just is one of the first topics we talk. We talk about our kids and school, and then right away to the podcast, which is kind of cool. And just our commonality between our kids. Now his kids are younger, and my kids are older. Your kids are younger. Your kids are like in between. His are younger. And but it's funny how the podcast, he gets the perspective, I think, because the dadness of us.
Oh yeah.
And the householdness and like the work-life balance and all that. He gets it, and it's funny hearing him apply some of his own tools that he's picked up over the couple of the podcasts.
That's awesome.
It's like pretty neat. And then others, listeners from school, picking up and saying, not tooting our own horn. I'm just explaining how I'm glad that the podcast is reaching different people different ways. But enjoy the idea that there's a plan here to build
Right.
To build the perspective. So it's depth perception. So, perceiving things through our own lens, not taking that away, but also giving you tools to expand your different lenses to view things. Why? So you can get more out of it. You can get more juice from the fruit. And it's so funny because one of the things Andrew was mentioning is I'm trying to think of maybe the Western. Maybe it was the Western, the early one of Hell or High Water.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of not being able to get past the federal agent who got killed. He could never forgive the guy just because he's like his own biases. That was a family man who was just doing his job, and he gets sniped by this bad guy, making the other guy just the devil, regardless of his point. You know what I mean? And it's funny how our own biases come flying in, even in a conversation in a barbershop about a conversation about a movie, about fictional characters doing this to each other.
Right.
He was moved by that and a little bit, not angered, but he wasn't as ready for the conversation as we were because he was like, no, when that character did that, there's some deal breakers. And I said, you're right. There are deal breakers. When we watch a movie, I'll sit there watching a movie. If something like that happens, it's like, I'm not good with that.
That was me with the Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park 3.
Explain.
Well, anyone that really knows me knows that Jurassic Park has probably been my number one for, how old am I? 37.
Oh, gosh.
How long did it? About 32 years or so. So imagine me, a big fan of the T-Rex, watching Jurassic Park 3 and the dumb Spinosaurus snapping the T-Rex's neck. He just became public enemy number one.
That's right.
For the longest time.
The beauty of it, I think I could see your son having that same exact emotion. Just like
I decide. Well, so my kids have watched the Jurassic Park movies, but I would distract them during any super gory parts or whatever, and I did not let them watch Jurassic Park 3 for the longest time. I think it went Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Lost World.
You will not be scarred as I.
Jurassic World. What's the second one? Not Dominion. The one before Dominion.
Yeah.
And then the last, the very last one that they've seen, I think, was Jurassic Park 3. And they weren't as impacted as viscerally as I was. But
well, that comes 20 or 30 years later. as your man child is listening to this in 25 years, saying, "Doggone it, he chomped them good."
So I'm glad that you brought up Hell or High Water because, in a sense of moral fairness, I thought of that one too. About the bank had put on this. They had given the loan to. Man, this is I always forget their names.
Yeah,
there was. Shoot, do you remember who
I honestly don't, because I know Chris Pine and I know Bridges. I'll find out, though. I am filling the role of Tin Man right now. Toby.
That's
and Tanner.
Toby and Tanner. Toby was the good one.
Yep.
So
if he can say that.
Yeah, if he can say that. But Toby was able to fix it so that the very bank that set out to gain the land out of, again, not a lawful infraction, but certainly a moral one, to put such a stipulation on this loan for an older woman that she would never be able to pay back in order to get her land. That would be a moral icky right there.
Mm-hmm.
But Toby fixed it so that very bank is the one protecting him lawfully.
Yeah.
And financially.
I thought that was a cool little twist.
Yeah. So that I think that's a neat example. And from this season, that movie's been quite the
It's a utility
staple
knife.
of.
Yes. It is the Swiss Army knife of season 2.
Yeah.
And we're not done with it.
No, we're not.
We are not done. What do I know? Just wanted to act like I knew. Oh, and we are not done, my friend.
That's not all. Man in the Iron Mask.
Oh, DiCaprio?
Yeah.
Yes.
A double dose of DiCaprio.
Yes.
But that moral sense of fairness as well. I think in a couple different ways. You have the brother that was originally in the mask getting his chance to rule. And you have a sense of moral punishment as well, where they put the king in the Iron Mask to serve out the rest of his term.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a pretty cool example of both moral punishment and moral fairness.
Who played D'Artagnan?
That would be our guy from Dead Man.
Really?
Yeah. There's some nights where I can't remember names at all. Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne. That's right. I was going to say, I think it's the guy from The Usual Suspects. That's what I was thinking. That's
same one, yeah.
That's a good one. That was Louis the 14th, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I know Louis something.
Yep, he's Louis something.
Louis the something.
Louis number. He's definitely a number.
I think you brought up one too with Thunderheart.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the bad guys don't really get their punishment in this one, but what's good is upheld at the end there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
There are no lawful implications with what transpired at the end of that movie. But from a moral standpoint, the native folks there were able to stand their ground and kind of ward off that threat that was there to take their land and take their people. So there's a moment. I wouldn't say the movie is about moral fairness, but there's a moment in the movie Trainspotting.
Ooh,
you've seen that one?
Yep.
Towards the end there, when they get their money, right? Because they sell the heroin, and they're staying in that weird circular hotel room, and Ewan McGregor's character decides, I don't know, that he's more worthy of restarting his life, I guess. And that part I wouldn't say is the moral fairness bit. But when he takes the money, he sees that Spud is actually awake and sees him doing so. And so what he does is he sets aside the portion of Spud's money and he puts it in the locker for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was a good bit of moral fairness. Certainly not lawful.
right.
But for him, almost like for Spud not to rat out his buddy like that, and for him to, and for Ewan McGregor's character to Renton, right? Renton.
Yep, Renton, yeah.
Rents, as Sick Boy would call him.
Mm-hmm.
For Rents to, because he even does the voiceover where he says, Sick Boy would do that, and Begbie would do this, but Spud never did anything to anybody.
Never hurt anybody.
Yeah. So he leaves him a little bit of cash to go forward, which Spud probably... I didn't watch the sequel. I have it. I've had it since it came out. I just haven't watched it.
Seen it. You own it. That's a good one. Favorite movie moments of justice. Oh, here we go.
Oh, no, that was a dud. Good enough.
Yeah, that was good enough. Roman candle, folks, getting closer to 4th of July. Once in a while, there's a dud.
We'll get better at this as we go forward.
Power and speed.
Rhythm.
Feeling the happy dance.
Consistency.
Feeling the flow.
That's what I'm told anyway.
It's all in the hips.
That's what I'm told. Rhythm. The right amount of pressure. Right spot.
I just came back into the room. What happened?
Our personal favorite movie moments of justice.
Oh.
So this could be, either punishment or fairness, or however you interpret justice. But moments in movie history.
Oh, shamalama ding dong. This is good stuff. Sorry, family. Yeah. If I got to have a moment, I got to go right away with Sam Jack. Yeah, I killed them. Yeah, they deserve to die, and I hope they rot in hell. Time to kill.
Mm-hmm.
That any father faced with what he was faced with, it'd be hard to judge him for doing what he did, for killing those boys in cold blood, for what they did to his daughter. And I always think to myself, whenever I want to cheer at some of these things, I'm like, I feel like there's a streak of cruelty woven throughout my fabric that I say, I just like a yummy pay-up. I'm like, what is wrong with me that I love this level of vengeance and justice?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, even in Seven, as Brad Pitt has been horribly wronged, and the legal thing to do is to holster his gun, as Morgan Freeman's character is telling him. And in my head, I cannot see him letting Spacey, and I know that's what Spacey's character wants.
Right.
And yet I'm pulling for Brad Pitt. Pull that trigger as many times as you can. You know what I mean? And that's such a beautiful movie because it makes you feel like that tension of, in doing this, I'm going to give him what he wants. And Morgan Freeman is trying to explain it. He knows he's fighting a losing battle in talking to Brad Pitt's character. But he's got to try to tell him, And I think that is it's a perfect tension between legal justice and like this moral justice. It's like the moral thing I got to do right now is I got to end this guy.
Yeah.
I wish, and then part of me, here's how weird I am. He didn't suffer enough. If you're going to go down that road.
Yeah, there's villains like that where you're like, why'd you shoot him in the head first?
Isn't that so sick of me? I think that, or I'm like, you got a reservoir dog, that son of a gun. If he did this thing that makes the whole audience feel like, oh yeah, he needs to get one. He doesn't need to get one. You need to find several methods. And that's just like, what is that? It scares me a little bit.
I mean, bookmark that because we'll talk about whether the audience gets more enjoyment out of punishment or fairness of justice.
Oh my!
I think one of my favorite moments is 3:10 to Yuma.
Ooh,
they're towards the end there. They're in that town, and Ben Wade's gang has caught up with them, and at the same time, the train is rolling in. So now it's, if you're going to get him on the train, it's got to be right now.
Yeah.
And you got two different things here. To me, anyway. You have Christian Bale's character striving to do what is lawfully correct and get this prisoner on that train to go serve whatever punishment that their justice system is going to hand down on him. And then you have Ben Wade's character having a change of heart and realizing that it is morally good if this father carries out what he set to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have both sides of this, to me, anyway. You have a sense of lawful and you have a sense of moral in terms of what is correct here.
Oh my! So
I wouldn't say it was. I don't think it was punishment or fairness, but just like I said, this moral justice and lawful justice being upheld by these two characters, and both are in agreement. What is correct is if this father, I think it's Dan,
mm-hmm.
gets Ben Wade on this train. for the good of the good of the story, but the good of everything they've been through and what Ben Wade understands about Dan, they're both in agreement through their actions that it is correct if Dan finishes his task of putting Ben Wade on that train. And you can see that happen. Ben Wade's even like helping him, come along. And then at the end there, the final, I think I've mentioned it before on the pod, it's one of my favorite moments, is when they realize that they're no longer like each other. The Ben Wade and his right-hand man, what's the actor's name again? He was in Hell or High Water.
Ben Foster.
Ben Foster. When they realize that they are no longer cut from the same cloth anymore.
Yeah.
The same moral cloth.
That's right.
And Ben Wade, exterminates them in a matter of 0.25 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite moments of Justice.
Man.
The favorite scenes, I guess.
I want to watch that again. Buzz is like, you say that, you never watch movies. The thing is, though, anybody that knows us, man, time is a pinch. Certain times of the year, I'm like, when do I ever get to watch movies?
I know, there's going to be a stretch there in like July and August where we're going to be filling up on recording in movies. But until then, we just do what we can.
And then even like, it seems like in that fall time, there seems to be time.
Yeah.
Like we remember we watched a lot of films.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get a lot done in those months.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The Days of Skinamarink.
Oh, yeah. I listened to that one recently.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have been a challenge.
We've come quite a ways away, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that was like pulling teeth. It had to be for you, not for me. I mean, watching it was like pulling teeth. And I watched it again.
I mentioned it before, but one of my other favorite moments was when Minister Frollo gets his in Hunchback of Notre Dame. And when he starts to... I don't know if they're direct quotes from the Bible, but it seems like he's starting to recite verses to fit his twisted view on what he's doing.
That's right, to justify it.
To just like our guy from
the Night of the Hunter.
Night of the Hunter, yeah, just like our Night of the Hunter character, where he's twisting the Bible and all things good to fit the evil things that he's doing. And there's the moment where like Frollo's eyes are like yellow, and his teeth are yellow, and he's got his sword up ready to get rid of Quasi, and it was as if with everything we already talked about what happens next, but like the universe is like, oh hell no, no, you're not going to twist that word for that. And,
yeah, that's exactly right.
And sends him right where he should be.
Well, we could get into a pretty good heavy conversation about twisting. I don't want to say scripture, but twisting any holy book or precious book. You know what I mean? Or for who knows what ends. And how that brings such a yucky conflict sometimes. Something that's meant to bring peace and stability and hope can be twisted to just bring terror and grossness, And it's when you bring up Hunchback of Notre Dame, I'm like, comes back around. It's like these little seemingly unimportant lessons that end up being some of the most important lessons.
Did you have another example of your favorite justice moments?
I like Inglourious Bastards.
Oh,
with Brad Pitt. There's a lot of moments there, but the one I like best maybe was when. I guess there's a lot of reasons for it, because I think that Christoph Waltz is maybe one of my favorite actors, and I like how what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he's just so like expressive and flamboyant. Like, he's just so right. He's like, I can breathe the free air and the freshness. And he's got his uniform on, and Brad Pitt tells him, there's something I'm going to get the quotes wrong, but I'm not even trying to get it right. But he's saying something like, you're going to take that uniform off and people aren't going to know who you are.
Right.
And I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
So we're going to fix that. And he tells him to take his coat off, and he's telling him about this and what he's going to do. And he's like, you'll be shot or hung for this. He goes, I won't get hung. Yeah, I'll get chewed out a bit. I've been chewed out before. I can handle that. And then he holds him down and carves a swastika into his forehead. And it shows them looking into the camera, him and BJ Novak. And like, it's some of your best work or whatever. He's like, it's really good. He goes,
this might be my masterpiece.
This might be my masterpiece. And it's just like this terror, man. And he was a terror. And he seemed to get joy out of being good at what he did.
I think that's a prime example of, because I'm still trying to see things from your point of view on like justice in terms of punishment versus fairness, and that's a good example right there of, you might classify that more as fairness rather than punishment per se, because like you said, this was the game you were playing with the people that you were aligned with.
That's right.
And so it's only fair that you show the same, to show the evidence of whose side you were on.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like you were so zealous about this. Mm-hmm. By all means, carry it into the next part of your life, which some people have described as like Tarantino's wet dream. You know what I mean? Like a Jewish filmmaker making this manifesto about this is how it could. Here's how justice could look. Set this vigilante in and give him this high level of success against this totalitarian regime, Interesting. It brings up a question to me, like if you had these other filmmakers make like a manifesto of like almost like Munich a little bit too, like where they were making it right, but that was like nonfiction, going back and making it right.
Right.
But I think of like I was trying to think of other movies that, like Inglourious Bastards, where it went back and set it right. And in some ways, Raiders of the Lost Ark is almost that, like going back and like revisionist history a little bit. Like,
right.
Here's how we bested this awfulness. Anyway, I chased a rabbit down there, and it was fascinating though to think of what filmmaker would you pick to make this aggrieved group. I hate to use the word, their dream scenario in history. Like, Cambodia and the Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge regime. Who would make that film about or even Stalin Russia? You have like, Fiddler on the Roof, which tells like a romantic musical version of those times under Stalin Russia and the pogroms and the 5-year plans and things like that. But like, if you had a film about those people fighting back and getting justice over Stalin or whatever, who would make that film, and what would it look like? What would that film look like? Mm-hmm. Or you know what I mean? Like the different groups, or sorry listeners, but let's say you had the indigenous populations and it not going the way of Andrew Jackson. You know what I mean? Like what would that look like?
Right.
If the continent was taken back when it was just a colony, when it was maybe a doable task, what does that film look like? And who would you want to make it? That's a cool conversation.
Interesting. I think it's funny you brought up Raiders, because that was one of mine also, in conjunction with Hunchback of Notre Dame, where there's a sense of justice about something religious.
Yeah.
And the end there of Raiders, when they open the ark and the lightning comes out and kills everyone off except Indy and Marion. And right there, the sense of justice to say, you will not be using this power for those evil means.
Yeah, right.
So, in this case, it would be a sense of punishment. But it was definitely, you definitely got a sense of justice to say, a divine power says that's incorrect. Mm-hmm. And now you're punished for it.
And the salvation of India and the woman were the humbleness of, don't look at the glory, don't look at it. You know what I mean, right? Is that what it is? Was that what kind of, or did it just know what the bad was?
I mean, to me anyway, that humbleness, don't look at it, as if kind of like you're not worthy of this power. Mm-hmm. So don't look at it because these people are trying to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And they're just, staring at it like it's nothing, Mm-hmm. So that was...
We found a new weapon.
Yeah.
It's not your weapon. That's cool. That's a good one. I love how they kind of these bleed into there, or how we can make them fit. But I think they fit perfectly.
Oh, yeah. I think so. I mentioned the movie earlier, but the moment... sounds corny, but like I grew up with it in Miracle on 34th Street when the judge, says... kind of goes through his little monologue there and declares Kris Kringle free or whatever, however he words it. Just that sense of, hey, we're not all terrible human beings.
Yeah.
And like leading up to that, they're all the people are kind of like flashing their buttons and their pins that say whose side they're on.
Yeah.
The sense that, that it is fair. These people actually have a fair side to them, and it's not all just greed and corruption and whatever,
That's good. That's good.
I'm trying to think if there's any other big ones. I know I'm sure there are.
Well, I always think of courtroom drama, but those are usually like mini-series or series that I like. I used to like Boston Legal, and I used to like... what was the one that The Good Wife? I thought that was a great show.
Yeah.
But there was so many like justice battles what makes a good courtroom drama is that moral. The audience seems to know what's morally right, and then you look at how the bad guy's playing the system, and you're like, oh, the legal system is you're bound by legal justice when moral justice has to do this. Going back to the quote. That's where you can get that's where you can get in trouble. And it's funny. That's why, it's funny when we're studying for the U.S. history. I didn't bring the podcast into the study group, but I was close to in bringing this line in there. I'm gonna read it one more time just to kind of reset it a bit for myself. The man who pulls the lever that breaks your neck will be a dispassionate man, and that dispassion, the very essence of justice. For justice delivered without dispassion is always in danger of not being justice. So it's like, if that is just the hangman who has no skin in the game, you've got a good chance at absolute justice. The minute there's skin in the game and they know something or they got some passion involved in this, you got a chance of being railroaded. I mean, if you think of the Green Mile, when... not Edward Delacroix. Yeah, he's about to be, and then I can't remember names, man. the bad punk warden. He's like the bad corrections officer.
Yeah,
he has something against Edward Delacroix. He hates him because he picks on him a lot. I can't remember his name. It starts with a P, I think. Picks on him a lot, and he ends up. Gosh, I kind of lost it there. I can't remember the name of the Percy Whitmore.
Okay.
Yeah, that the guy. He when he dies a horrible death. When he gets when John Coffey takes his hand and he's like, "What are you doing to me?" And he becomes like vegetative state kind of. It's almost like. He gets his, it's like his, you see it, it's like, whoa, he did a greater offense. He was in charge of killing Edward Delacroix, and he was cruel about it. He didn't wet the rag to make it so that the conductive went right to the brain. He kept it dry, and it just cooked him alive for minutes on minutes and minutes. And so you're like, this guy can't, and he got, you know what I mean? Like in 7, when I'm like, one shot was too good to him. Percy got the worst of it. He got his brain fried, and he ended up going to like, you know what I mean? Like he just had a horrible end, worse than death, some might say. He's tormented and stuck in his own prison, in his own head. And so I remember that scene, and I think that was one where I felt like, morally he was wrong, and he got his, again, it's punishment, it's not justice. But so to me, that line is clouded again, because I'm like, the best payoff, that was another good payoff though, where I'm like, he got his. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was still justice, because he exacted poor justice on Edward Delacroix, and John Coffey shaking his hand and turning him and kind of like forcing, I don't know, what is it, like forcing all of this death or dis-ease onto him. You've seen that form. Stephen King writes it differently, and then the filmmaker shows it, but it was like this black, almost like locusts that went flying into him, and his brain couldn't comprehend it. It just overwhelmed him with all this death and hate and hurt. Yeah. And his brain, he lost his mind. And it's like, that's what you get, you cruel bastard. That's what you get, And I felt that, like, there's a moment for you.
It's cool comparing like our favorite movie justice moments, because I feel like we're seeing how far the idea of vengeance and punishment bleeds into our sense of justice. Yeah. If only Tin Man was here.
And honestly, the stronger when you ask for my favorite moments of justice, right? The higher I go up, the more it becomes about vengeance. Right?
Interesting.
For me, it is. I mean, it's like, there's psychologist friend might have is slowly Roger rabbiting away.
Well, I thought of another one. One of my other favorite movie moments for justice. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, excellent.
There's a moment where Alan Rickman is going to be married to Maid Marian. Mm-hmm. And as a wedding gift, he's hanging some of the people from Sherwood Forest. And I always get goosebumps during this scene when they made the big plan to go save them. And, they start hitting the chairs one by one so that everyone starts to dangle. And Robin Hood, he's their original plan is out the window, and he's just doing what he can to save everyone's lives. So the first one was that Wolf? Yeah, the kid. He throws one arrow or shoots one arrow and kind of nicks the rope. And he shoots the second one. It goes slow mo, or not slow motion, but it's like zoomed in on the arrow, cuts him down. So then, fight breaks out, and there's the moment where they're all dangling there, and Little John comes in, and he's he
holding
hits
on.
He stops the thing from collapsing, and so just all of the effort from the common folk to save the lives of these quote innocent people. I'm sure they've done things. Mm-hmm. We know they've killed hundreds of deer.
Yeah.
But the effort from the common folk to save the other common folk from injustice. Yeah. It gives me goosebumps every time. When Marion screams Robin.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Well, the something about a community rallying together. Yeah. Say this is happening to all of us. This could be any of us.
This is incorrect. Mm-hmm. Let's support the people that.
You know what's funny? I think in very good Star Wars lore, there's groups like that. Did you watch Andor?
First season, not the second.
So like there's one of the things that's very attractive about that storytelling is you get pockets of that, and that's like the birth of rebellion, right? You're seeing this injustice, and you're like, we're not going to stand for this collectively. To me, I think that's more of a draw than all these other reasons people are praising season 2. the draw is that you're actually seeing how did this rebellion start and why, and it makes you feel some of that for these pockets of civilizations on different planets, even the pockets, like you're saying, that same dynamic in Robin Hood of this is wrong. We might not be able to put out this fire macro, but right now we can for these people that are hanging. The little girl that's throwing this, there's thousands of starfish on the beach, and the little girl runs up and grabs and runs 50 yards, throws the starfish into the water. Dad's looking. Be careful, right? She goes, thousands of starfish going to die. They're drying out at tide. Tide's going. Grabs another starfish, throws it. And then Dad goes, oh, stop. What are you doing here? What are you trying to do? Saving the starfish. It can't possibly make a difference. It's not going to matter. And the little girl just ignores him, picks up one more, starts running. What are you doing? She goes, it matters to this one. And I think that it's a nice little story, first of all. Second of all, when filmmakers can capture those little moments like that and make us feel that lesson. And the reason why that comes to mind is I remember that scene in Robin Hood, and I felt like that. I'm like, what can a few good people do in the face of this horrible evil? Almost like Lord of the Rings type stuff too. Filmmakers know that, and they think if I can capture that emotion in this scene right here, it's going to carry. This film's going to be bigger. It's going to carry. It's going to carry, and it's going to resonate with audiences, and they're going to feel what I feel. If we do this scene right, it's going to feel like that. And it's funny when scenes like that happen. It's funny you said goosebump moments. Those are the kind of movies that sometimes you don't see them coming, especially in Robin Hood. You're like, why is this happening? Why am I crying right now? Why is this happening? I think another payoff is all the Equalizer movies. It's like the legal system can't help you. Right. It's almost like the premise of the whole series of them. And even the TV show not with Latifah, that's probably true too, but with Edward Woodward back in the day. Remember? And then with Denzel, certainly. Right. It's like, it's almost like the A-Team too then. If the legal system can't help you, and if you know where to find them, maybe you can benefit from the A-Team or something like that, Yeah. It's like, your qualifications have to be the legal system will not give you justice. Once that happens, then I don't know if it's Edward Woodward or Latifah or Denzel. You got to call one of them, and they'll get you your moral justice. You were, and those are really good payoffs in those. I think Equalizer 2 is my favorite with the Russian crime lord, and he walks right into there, and he says, "I'm going to make a deal with you. I brought this much money, And he almost respects it at first, but he's just he thinks you're not going to leave out of here. Those are good payoffs, all three of those. Equalizer 1, 2, and 3. If there's more, I haven't watched them. Right. But the ones with Denzel specifically.
I think there's certainly plenty of action movies. Again, Tin Man could have been...
Oh, yeah.
Could have added quite a bit, but certainly a lot of action movies. I mean, you can even look at something like John Wick and say, oh, yeah, justice is served here because these are all evil people that
yeah, but they're all bad.
So... Again, I think it's super interesting though, like what speaks to us the most when we talk about our favorite movie moments, because to me, justice also it's not just punishing those wronged; it's also praising those that did good. So I think my biggest moment that I have for that, and probably I think even it's right up there with Coco, with like automatically you get emotional watching it.
Yeah, gosh.
Is Return of the King.
Oh, okay.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
At the end there, Frodo and Sam have gone through this crazy journey, and the amount of sacrifice and what they endured for the greater good. At the end there, when you have the new king, and everyone bows, and he goes up to them and he said, "You guys bow to no one."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They like stand up, and everyone bows to them. Even the king bows to them. So just that sense of, to to me, that's still justice. That is praising those that did good and were selfless.
Oh gosh, there's a huge lesson to be learned there. I mean, an untaught lesson.
Yeah.
For at least a generation, maybe two, that doing right, being acknowledged for doing the hard thing, not the popular thing, maybe, or the easy thing, doing the hard thing, and being not even rewarded, but acknowledged just for doing the right thing is just. And
I'm reminded of one of your favorites, Neville Longbottom.
Oh,
being rewarded the final 5 points they needed, right?
That's right.
For standing up to his friends.
Standing up to your enemies hard. Standing up to your friends is harder.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
So rewarded for doing good, I think, is just as important.
Anybody that knows me, I'm Clarabelle. I'll honk my horn past your house. I'll blink my lights off and on the throughway. If someone says something that's a good one, it's like amen in church.
All right.
Probably your best one of the night.
I think so. Does a general audience get more enjoyment out of punishment or fairness of justice?
A general audience?
Mm-hmm.
Punishment.
I tend to agree with you.
I think that because I just see myself as I'm a general audience. Remember, I felt like that was my role when we started this journey a couple seasons ago. And as much as I try to be refined and get better at this, I find myself pulled to those very simple sensibilities of you're going to get yours.
Yeah. I think it's kind of permeated through this episode.
Yeah, it really is, man. I'm like, holy cats. I got some issues.
And that's not saying I don't enjoy that. I think you have plenty of movie moments where you see a punishment handed down on a character that was being unjust or evil, and yes, you cheer for it, give a little fist bump. I certainly enjoy those. I feel like the ones that affect me the most, or you get a deeper connection or emotional from seeing the power of it, is the fairness ones, though. So, like in Glorious Bastards, when you see that they shoot up Hitler thousands of times on the balcony or whatever, like that as a moment. In Sinners, you haven't seen that one yet, right?
I have not. I can't wait, man.
It'll be on Max July 4th, I believe.
Okay.
So, but in that movie, there's a scene towards the end where one of our main characters does something, and literally in the theater I was in, people were cheering.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that doesn't happen that much anymore.
And we'll say that was not a justice in the sense of fairness viewpoint of it. It was definitely punishment.
Yeah.
But moments like I mentioned with Return of the King, like that one, I was almost getting choked up describing what happens in the scene. So to me, like those ones affect me deeper. But the punishment side of justice is definitely, I feel like, more readily available in movies.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like sometimes I love pop culture. I like to pretend that I like like even like music. There's some, I don't know what it is about me. I do enjoy like fringy music and stuff like that, but I love pop music, and it's almost like sometimes I get like nervous to admit that I love pop music. But I don't know. There's a simpleness that, but there's an honesty with me that comes with like saying, yeah, I guess that is a true thing right there. That, and I think a not to get off your track, but like a fairness that it's hard for me to put my finger on. there's a fairness to Forrest Gump that says he finally ended up with Jenny. That people disagree with me passionately because they're like, oh, she used him and used him. I'm like, but in his world, but you're my girl. You know what I mean? Like to him his life was made in those moments that he got to share with her.
All about perspective, right?
That's right. And so we push our perspective on Forrest and Jenny, and like she didn't give him what he deserved. But in his head, he got more. That was his girl. Just maybe for a season, and maybe her motivation wasn't great. But in his perspective, of course you're home with me.
He won.
Of course we got married. Of course I had you. And of course we had this beautiful son. And of course, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't very long, but he had her, and in his head, that's everything to him. Mm-hmm. Even as he raises Forrest by himself, and there's going to be challenges, and now mom's gone. You know what I mean? And then it's just him and little Forrest. But in his world, mission accomplished.
Yeah,
I married the love of my life, and she was here for the season that she was supposed to be here, and whatever got her to the place where she married me, that's how it worked out. God bless the broken road that led me to you. You know what I mean? It's like we got there, and it's almost like the filmmaker showed us her gross, awful journey to say she had to battle so many demons, so much trauma she had to deal with. And yeah, maybe she came back just because he was able to take care of her. But she was panicked. And trauma will do that to people, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just think there's fairness there. He got the girl.
And that's like I mentioned, that's a deep cut right there. That's a deep impression that left. But I think with a general audience, I think you had it though. The general audience wants that cheeseburger, right?
Instant feed me now cheeseburger.
Because as impactful as like Coco or Return of the King or Miracle on 34th Street or whatever, how many ever these movies that have an uplifting, supportive, fairness aspect to justice, you don't hear them talked about. You know, no one says, "Oh, remember the ending of Return of the King."
Right.
Oh, remember the ending of Inglourious Basterds. Yes. Remember the ending of Django.
Yeah.
Remember the ending of any of these other movies that have violent ends. You know, where punishment is the form of justice.
Yeah. These violent delights have violent ends.
And so, you know, it's tough to admit, but I think that's the general audience that wants that. Right now, how are you going to gratify me for watching this story? And it's going to be watching the bad guy get his. I think it's a interesting view on society in general, because if we were to switch it to, hey, you remember how uplifting this was, or remember how this happened at the end of the you know, where it's not someone dying, it's someone getting a good thing happen. I think it would be quite a different group of people in society.
Yeah, honestly. What the heck's wrong with us? Because honestly, I played right into your little game here today.
Well, it's supposed to be played by a Tin Man.
Yeah, right. No, listen. I'll fill in there. But I think there was like what's that I was thinking that had a very similar. Anyway, scrap it. It's gone.
Okay. So, but and you know, not trying to be preachy or anything, but I think it's just interesting though that's where we're at. Because to me, the more gratifying thing is feeling so impacted by the kindness, the generosity, or something shown in the movie, because the violent and mean things that happen in other movies come so readily, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, they're not as impactful unless you make a villain so despicable that you want evil things to be done to him.
Yeah.
And then where does that lead me if I'm cheering for that?
I know. That's why I like Christmas Carol, when he's redeemed.
Yeah.
That this horrible, horrible person sees the light, and it's like the payoff is you can't wait for that scene. You're like, hey, this is something great's happened here.
Mm.
You know, you see the transaction, and you rejoice with him. You can't wait to see him meet all the people that he aggrieved and make them whole.
And I think it takes a lot more storytelling chops to create that overwhelming sense of positivity that you see from, when I say justice exacted, I don't mean in the punishment sense either. I mean in the fairness sense, because I mean you could take your pick of action movies, especially from the 90s, where it was here's your villain and here's how they get justice served to them. But I feel like it takes a lot more depth to have a story where you're into it so much that you're empathetic to a character so much that when something redeeming happens to them, you know, that's what you remember from the movie.
Yeah.
You know.
Can you do this for me? I'm curious. I'm going to give you a little exercise if you don't mind.
Okay.
3 or 4 movies that best kind of, I mean, it's going to be hard too, because we already said that Hollywood goes for the quick payoff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could come up with 3 or 4, if you could think of any that I might know.
Okay.
And maybe some that I don't know, that do that kind of the fairness is demonstrated in the positive character getting rewarded, getting getting their moment.
Okay, so I think we touched on a couple. So Return of the King, I would say. Here's one for you from season 1, Babe.
Oh.
I would say, I mean, that always gets me. And what I'm doing is I'm just thinking of all the movie moments where either I secretly get emotional to, or they have left a profound sense of hope, I guess, for characters. That, you know, not everything depends on someone getting punished for their wrongdoings. So I would say Babe. I would say Return of the King. And I mean, we could go with what we've had here so far, but
yeah, I appreciate you branching, because I can see, like, I think Forrest Gump has nice, you know what I mean, nice little, he gets the girl, whatever, but I want more, because I want to be able to. What I'm trying to say is I'm going to steal this from my English class next year, and I want to have some basis to tell them, you know.
Well, I'm going to go back to Hunchback of Notre Dame, honestly, and not for Minister Frollo, but for Quasimodo.
Oh.
And that sense of fairness, where he doesn't get the girl, but he finally has real friends. You know, the gargoyles.
Yep.
Well, I guess they're real, but you know, they're not people. They're not human interaction. You know, he becomes friends with Esmeralda and Phoebus, and because you see in the beginning of the movie how manipulative Frollo is to him, and you know, they have like a small duet together about you know, Quasimodo's saying that he's ugly and saying these mean, hurtful things about himself that Frollo has instilled in him.
Yeah.
So the sense of justice is, you know, at the end when he breaks free of that grasp that Frollo has on him and can fight for himself and frees himself, you know, and fights for his newfound friends. So I would say that would be another one.
Man, again, it's almost like a Rorschach test. Tell me what you think when you think fairness. So I'll tell you what I think fairness is.
But I think Hunchback is another neat example, because we had another one that had both punishment and fairness, but I think Hunchback is another one where you see the punishment of the evildoer, but you see the fairness and the praise of the people that do good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, an interesting one that might be a double-edged, there's like the Green Book with Viggo Mortensen, and it's about the Jim Crow South.
Mm-hmm.
And so he almost plays like the Italian, he's the driver, right, for Dr. Shirley, and he's taking him through the Jim Crow South. And, he comes from like a lot of his folks, like he's, there's black folks that are helping do some work in the house up north. And the wife's very kind to them. And she offers them Kool-Aid or lemonade or something. They drink it, and she sees him in the kitchen, like throwing the cups away, like after they drink out of them, throwing them away in the garbage. And he doesn't get his. You know what I mean? It's like, you racist, you finally got yours. The story is kind of about his redemption. The whole story is about it. And I remember liking that movie and then liking the way I felt after watching it too. Like, we've watched this character who's kind of transformed just by experiencing and learning, and his ignorance being, he didn't go through this huge journey, but he did a 180, and the movie kind of celebrates his doing a 180. And I remember feeling like it's one of my favorite movies. And I'm thinking, why did I like that so much? Why does it resonate with me when I watch it? When I see him, almost like Saving Mrs. Banks.
Oh yeah.
When I see him redeemed, when Walt's telling her, Saving Mr. Banks, when he's telling her that, and when crowds hear that song and see him, they'll remember and they'll celebrate with him. I think that about how I felt about the Green Book is like when Viggo Mortensen's character becomes aware and kind and learns how to just appreciate and love Dr. Shirley and welcome him and accept him as a brotherhood of man. Like, just come on and enjoy our Christmas with our family. Man, I remember thinking, almost like Scrooge, I was like, I'm really happy about this. He didn't get punished. That's what you get, you big racist. He became a finished work. He became a better person. I'm now thinking of different movies that have that kind of a payoff instead of the the violence or even getting the book thrown at them. There you go. Take your, get your, that's what you deserve. Good for you. Jeepers.
Here we go.
All right. Crisp.
Lastly, I'm going to give Kmax a set of categories to choose from.
All right.
You may, so I kind of do some callbacks to the first season. You might remember for our horror episodes where I let you guys pick the genre for what we watched.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I wouldn't call them genre, just categories. And you'll get to pick a single category that we will watch a movie for justice, and that same category will pertain to vengeance, but it'll be a different movie for that one.
Oh, my.
So this pick chooses what we watch for the next 2 movie episodes.
No. Well, hold on now. So I'm picking just one
category.
Okay.
And it'll include 2 movies.
So you're telling me you got 2 in the chamber for each of these?
Yeah.
Then I got one. Especially because Tin Man chose not to be here. Again, we all have life. And I'm not trying to be nasty. He chose not to be here, right? But because he's not here,
you get the pick.
I am voting him PTA president.
So let me give the audience the categories,
because I got it already made up.
All right, we have musical, we have superhero, we have thriller, Texas justice, and crime. So Kmax, what are your thoughts?
Well, I had 2 highlighted coming into the conversation.
Okay.
Before we're hornswoggled. before my partner in arms, my brother in arms,
The long arm of the
my
law.
amigo with an ego, my good friend Tin Man. Again, all tongue in cheek.
There's no experimental category here either for you guys to choose.
Remember we did that? That was
Yeah.
an awful idea.
Even I was like, oh no, guys.
What are you doing to us? And then we had the audacity to complain. I got it right here.
Okay.
So again, you had musical, superhero, Texas, justice, thriller, and crime.
Yep.
This is easy for me because I like this style, and I can't wait to see what you have for both. But I'm going musical.
All right. Yes.
Tin Man, well, not just me, but we're going musical, brother.
All right. Oh, I'm so happy that you picked this one. So because that is the choice. Final answer?
Final answer.
Okay.
It's not even close.
So the options then for superhero, I had, and I'm going to go through them just briefly.
Please do.
Just to give a sense of what would have been discussed.
Well, it's almost like when you turn out, tell me what he could have won, or,
Yeah.
So let's see what's
Here's
behind
your
box.
zonk.
Yeah, let's see what's behind box number 3.
So superhero is the Dark Knight for
Ooh.
justice. Because throughout that movie, you had this idea of a lawful upholding of justice with Harvey Dent. And we see how that gets corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this moral upholding of what justice is with Batman. And you have Joker as this source of pollution on the idea of lawful justice. So I was going to, again, relate that discussion back to the quote from Hateful Eight on how dispassion, how that affects justice. And so you can see just how passion ruined Harvey Dent's idea, his white knight, right? Version of justice when Rachel was killed. So you can kind of see how that pollutes, and actually upholds the idea of justice needs to be dispassionate. And then, so for thriller, I had Promising Young Woman.
Oh.
So I have not seen that one, but from everything I gathered about it, I think would have fit nicely in a debate on this idea of justice being without dispassion and whether it is past the border of vengeance or if it's on this side of it yet. Texas Justice would have been Bernie. Have you seen that one or no?
No, I have not.
That's Jack Black, and it's about I think it's a real thing that happened, but it's like a man starts a relationship with like an older widow, and things take a turn. But it's almost shot in like almost a documentary style, kind of, where they like have talking head segments.
Oh.
As far as I'm remembering it anyway. But it's kind of toying with the idea of moral versus lawful correctness.
Okay.
As is
And that's
Texas
called
Justice.
Bernie?
Yeah, Bernie. Crime was The Killing.
The Killing.
And that was going to be very centric on the idea of like the universe morally correcting what was wrong. So The Killing is Stanley Kubrick, I think from the 50s, maybe 56. Can't remember the exact year. But it's like a heist movie, but it's very crisp. I think it's only, again, I might be wrong on this, but I think it's only just over an hour long.
Now we're talking.
And it's shot I think it's out of order. Like different chapters out of order, as far as I'm remembering anyway.
Yeah.
But different things happen throughout the movie that correct or prevent things from happening. So one example from the movie is, and this is still worth a watch. Again, it's only, 70 minutes of your time. Actually, I better double check that. An hour and 24 minutes.
Hour and 24.
So 84 minutes worth.
84 minutes.
But so there's a scene in there where they're fixing a horse race, and there's a guy perched up from a viewpoint where his job is to shoot the horse that probably would win the race.
Okay.
As he's perched up there, someone just happens to notice that he's there with a gun, I think. And his plan is foiled, and it's almost like borderline comedy how this happens, but the plan is foiled. I think there's even like a little tongue-in-cheek thing with like a horseshoe.
Oh boy.
And so of course things go awry because of that. So again, the universe kind of deciding like, no, that's incorrect, and we're going to make sure that justice is upheld in this situation. And I want to say that the end, the main character is trying to escape with the money. And spoiler alert,
no,
it's still worth a watch. He's heading to his plane, and the people are closing in on him. And as he's heading there, his briefcase, I don't know if it falls or something, but it breaks open, and the money just whirls away in the wind. So again, a sense of fairness there. I wouldn't say punishment per se, but the universe kind of saying,
this is what's right.
Yeah, it's not right that you get this money, so it's just gonna blow away in the wind. Yeah, so his money blows away, and he kind of accepts his fate after that. Like the authorities arrive, and there's no attempt to run after that. It's kind of the universe was Batman in that sense. Stopped him for the authorities so they can do what they need to do. So I'm not going to give away. When it comes to Vengeance, I'll go through those movies separately.
Sounds good.
But the movie, I didn't mention what movie we're watching.
No.
For a musical. I'm excited for this one. It's one of my favorites. I took a gamble and didn't talk about it this entire episode, hoping and trusting that somehow musical would be chosen. But it's Les Miserables.
Hey!
And we're going to go with the Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe version.
Let's go!
So
I have so many good things that I want to do with this. Like, how long do we got to what? Well, I mean, we're going to have to figure that out, right?
Yeah, we'll have to confront Tin Man and see when he's free.
Well, you know where to find him.
Your local trivia.
I was going to say the Yellow Brick Road.
Oh.
Man, I don't know if that's true or not. Brickyard.
Shout out Brickyard.
Shout out Brickyard. Where you can add chicken.
Or chicken.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I wish like the drive-in happened to be showing it. Because I'd rally listeners.
Well,
and us.
I'm hoping to... because Kmax is going to be out of town shortly, so I'm hoping to get this one recorded fairly soon.
Oh, yeah.
And that way MrVozly's got some work to do in terms of editing
so
while you're out.
Sir, would you like that in the can? No, I'll take it right here.